Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're diving into a topic that can truly help you move forward in life. Stopping habits that hold your mind back. We all have those habits that keep us stuck in our thoughts, preventing us from growing and making progress. But today, we're going to talk about how you can free your mind and get closer to achieving your goals.
That's right, Jason. I think we've all been there, feeling overwhelmed by our thoughts or trapped in a cycle of comparison and procrastination. It's easy to fall into these habits, but the good news is that once we become aware of them, we can start to change. So, let's explore 3 common habits that we need to stop if we want to move forward and live a more peaceful, productive life.
Exactly! It's all about creating the right mindset and freeing up mental space for new opportunities. So, let's get started with the first habit you need to stop. Overthinking. All right, let's talk about overthinking. Something many of us struggle with, myself included. Overthinking can be paralyzing. It's when you find yourself going over the same thought or decision repeatedly, analyzing every possible outcome, and getting stuck in a loop. Instead of moving forward, you end up more confused or anxious than before. Have you ever been in that place, Julia?
Oh, definitely. It's like your mind just won't stop, even when you know you need to take action. Overthinking is a habit that keeps you from making progress because you're too focused on every detail. The more you think, the less you actually do. It creates unnecessary stress and can even lead to self-doubt.
Exactly. So, what can we do about it? First, it's important to catch ourselves in the act. When you notice that you're overthinking, try to shift your focus. One simple technique is to break the task down into smaller steps and just focus on the next small thing. Taking action, even if it's tiny, helps you escape the overthinking trap.
Another great tip is to set time limits. For example, give yourself 10 minutes to think about a decision, and after that, move forward with whatever feels right. You don't have to have everything figured out before you take action.
That's a great point, Julia. Overthinking only steals your mental energy and time. So, let's make a commitment to stop overthinking and start trusting ourselves to take that first step forward. Now, let's move on to another common habit that holds people back: comparing yourself to others. This is something that almost everyone struggles with at some point in their life. Whether it's social media, your friends, or even coworkers, it's easy to look at what others are doing and feel like you're falling behind. But the truth is, comparison only creates more stress and keeps you from appreciating your own progress.
Exactly, Jason. We often forget that everyone is on their own unique journey with different challenges and timelines. When you compare yourself to others, you overlook your own strengths and achievements. It can make you feel like you're not good enough or that you'll never catch up.
Right? So, how do we stop comparing ourselves? One important strategy is to focus on your own growth. Instead of looking at where others are, take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. Reflect on the progress you've made, no matter how small. Celebrate those wins.
That's a great reminder. And another helpful practice is to limit your exposure to things that trigger comparison, like social media. Maybe unfollow accounts that make you feel less than, and instead, follow people who inspire you in a positive way. Focus on building your own path, rather than constantly measuring yourself against others.
Exactly, Julia. Remember, your journey is yours alone, and it's not about how fast you go compared to anyone else. It's about staying focused on your goals and growing at your own pace. Now, let's dive into the third habit: Procrastination. It's something we've all experienced at some point. You know you have something important to do, but instead of getting started, you put it off for later. Sometimes even until the last minute. And then you end up feeling stressed and overwhelmed when the deadline approaches. Why do you think we procrastinate, Julia?
Well, Jason, I think it often comes down to fear. Fear of failure, fear of not doing something perfectly, or even just feeling overwhelmed by the size of the task. When the task feels too big or too difficult, it's easier to push it aside and hope that tomorrow will be better.
That's a great point. But the truth is, procrastination only makes things worse in the long run. So, what can we do to overcome it? One technique that really works is breaking tasks into smaller, more manageable pieces. If the whole task feels overwhelming, focus on one small step at a time.
Another tip is to use the 2-minute rule. If a task will take 2 minutes or less, do it right away. If it's longer, just commit to working on it for a few minutes. Often, once you get started, it's easier to keep going.
Exactly! It's all about building momentum. The more you take action, even in small ways, the easier it becomes to keep moving forward and avoid procrastination. So, to wrap things up, we've talked about 3 habits that can really hold you back: overthinking, comparing yourself to others, and procrastination. The good news is, once we become aware of these habits, we can start making small changes that will help us move forward in life. It's all about freeing your mind from the clutter so you can focus on what truly matters.
Exactly. Remember, the key is to take action. Whether it's stopping the cycle of overthinking, focusing on your own growth instead of comparing yourself, or breaking tasks down to stop procrastinating. Every little step counts and brings you closer to your goals.
So, our challenge to you today is simple. Pick one of these habits that you know is holding you back and take one small step to change it. Maybe it's taking a moment to recognize when you're overthinking, setting a limit on comparing yourself, or tackling a task you've been procrastinating on.
Yes, and don't forget to celebrate those small wins because they all add up. If you found today's episode helpful, be sure to share it with someone who could use a little inspiration to move forward. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment or message letting us know how you're freeing your mind and moving forward.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. Take care and keep growing.